All right. Good day, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful edition of the TechEd Upskill career series. So since we started, the purpose has been to bridge the gap between academia and then the industry. So a couple of times we invite professionals, to give us experience so that people, especially undergraduates, will be readily prepared for the industry. Okay, so would advise you to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so that you will get subsequent notification for further interviews to come. All right, so today we have with us someone, we popularly call him TK, but his real names are Adebayo Anthony. So for the most part, you may end up forgetting his name when you call him TK all of the time, but his name is Adebayo Anthony, but we prefer TK like that because it's short. So TK, you're welcome to TechEd Upskill.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Thank you. You came at a very short notice. We appreciate it. So TK is a software engineer at Microsoft. So TK, quickly, could you let us know why not medicine? Why not what is architecture? What inspired you into studying an IT-related course or being in this industry?
Yeah, right from onset, when I was still in my secondary school, I play with system. I have a personal laptop that I work with, and I love playing video games. And while playing some of these video games, I was kind of curious about how some of these software or games are developed. So it gives me this kind of interest, and say, fine, I want to study something that will give me an idea of how some of these applications were developed. And although right from when I was very young, I had this dream to become a civil engineer because I like this term, engineer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I like that term, engineer. And my mom worked at the firm where they have a lot of civil engineers. So, and that kind of got me interested. But why working with the computers, playing video games, I just had this kind of interest and say, fine, I want to know how some of these softwares were built. And that's where the interest started coming, and I had more interest in becoming a computer scientist.
Okay, wow, awesome. You're one of the ideal candidates for this platform because I remember you were one of our students. Okay, I think the last time we saw in person was that I can't remember if there's another time before that, but the one that comes vividly to mind was when you were defending the final year project. I think you worked on something e-learning or e-testing platform, and I gave some remark. That's about how many years back now?
Oh, maybe three years ago.
Okay. Now, if you want to look back at yourself, maybe like your 4 years ago person, and you've been knowing all that you know now, your tech stack and everything, what would you advise yourself? Okay, meaning what would you advise the rest of people like you that are soon to come out of the university and are looking to get a job in a very high-tech organization? So what should they be doing right now that if you knew back then, you would have been doing then?
Okay, I think one thing that I think I would have advised is to try to stay focused and don't get distracted, because there's a lot of technology out there that you might have interest in. And if you want to go for web, try to stick with web and focus more on web technology. There's definitely going to be a lot of job opportunities available for you in that area. I think I can't call them mistakes, but I try to learn as much as possible things, and I try to stay focused on my web development skill. And though it helped me to be able to let's say transfer those knowledge to some other areas like desktop development and likes. So I think one of my major advice would be try to stay focused, and if you know you're interested in web development or software, desktop development, try to channel all your energy, because it's very easy to get distracted when you see your friends working on some different technology aside from yours. And one thing is to also try and look out for people that maybe are outside in the industry to give you more advice, like to help you channel your energy to the right resources. And I think that's one thing I would have done better. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Siki. I'm glad you mentioned mentorship, because this is also what the platform is all about. people are going to find out how to connect with you for advice on, mentorship on the technology field. Okay, so now you mentioned something very important. There's different programming language. There's Go, there's Python, there's VB, there's Ruby on Rails, there's PHP, different frameworks, Laravel, Django. You can keep naming them. One can easily get distracted. And now you've talked about the issue of focus. So that brings me to my next question. Would you advise someone to scale up their skill vertically or horizontally? Okay, should we be jack of all trades or master of none, or focus on one and be very, very good at that? What would you advise?
Okay, yeah. So what I did back then is I tried to focus on. I started with PHP, so my core programming language then was PHP. So I find it interesting learning some things from other programming languages because I want to see how flexible I can take some of this knowledge from PHP to some other programming language. So it's not really advisable to learn some multiple languages at the same time. But you can be, let's say, a Java developer. You're a Java developer, and you can try to maybe see. Sometimes what I do is I know my core language back then was PHP. So I take maybe some maybe some of my free time to just explore, let's say, JavaScript, for example. That gives me this kind of idea of what JavaScript is. But I know I'm not a JavaScript expert. I know I'm a PHP developer back then. And so that kind of gives me this kind of idea of, okay, fine, if I'm to do something using JavaScript, I have an idea of how to do it, but I know my core, my main focus then was PHP. Then later on, when I discovered that I need to, I build more web application, then I tried to understand how a mobile application was being developed. So that gave me this interest in Java. So I started learning on Java while PHP was still my core programming language. Then I started gaining more ideas about Java, building some Android application, and see why Android application was kind of important, because most times when I build a website for people back then, they ask me, okay, can you build a mobile application for us? Like, can you convert this website into a mobile application? So that was what gave me this kind of interest in Java. So I started learning Java, and I see that some of this knowledge are kind of very close. But something about programming language is that once you are good in one, it's very easy to transfer that knowledge to another. So to me, I think what I try to do is to try to be open-minded. I try to, let me say, structure my learning in a way that wherever I'm learning here can, I try to look for a way that this thing I'm learning here might be useful in maybe another programming language. So I find a way to relate some of these programming languages together. So it makes that easy for me to maybe learn some other things. But then it's not advisable to say you learn Java, you learn Python, you learn all of this language, and you are master of none. So pick one, and stay focused on that one. You can play around with some of these languages, but at least be a master of one.
Okay, thank you very much, TK. It is very true. Programming language skill is very transferable. Once you understand one very well, it should be easy to learn another. Okay, that's good. One of the things or phobia that people have, I would like you to share your experience to ease people, is technical interview. Yes, it's okay to send your resume, to do all of that, to pass that stage, but then when it comes to real life resume, especially most people don't like to code when people are watching them. Okay, yeah. So how did your technical interview getting into Microsoft? How was it, and why would you use that to advise people coming behind?
Okay, so generally, when it comes to technical interview, you need to prepare a lot. And I think one of the mistakes a lot of people make is that they just build stuff. They don't think about the best approach into building that particular application. So when you build anything, it's not enough for that particular system to just work. It's more important that you understand what are the best approaches into building this particular application. Because at the end of the day, you find out that these are some of the questions some of these interviewers ask during a technical interview. Because, like I said, it's not enough to just build an application. It's more important that you build them working and they are scalable, and you ensure that you follow the best approaches. So I think that's one of the most important things, because this gives you more insight or more more knowledge or better ways of answering some of these technical interviews. Because most cases you might be asked system design questions like, how will you have done this? How will you have done this? How will you have done this? How will you have done that? So those are some of the questions. If you are given this kind of system, how will you have built it? Because what they are interested in most times is to understand your thought process. Exactly. And if you can't think about it, there's no way you can build it. There's no way you can build it. So try to make sure that whenever you're building any kind of application, you understand what you're doing and why you're doing this way and why it's working and why it's not working. It's very important so that you don't just build a working application and you don't understand the in and out of that application. You just feel like, fine, if I do this way, what if that way is not the best approach? So this will help you when you're in kind of a technical interview and you ask questions about maybe some of the most difficult challenges you faced. Why did you go to towards that approach? Why did you not go this approach? Is there any better way you have handled that particular situation? It will give you more insight. And when it comes to live coding, it's very important you try to practice, like use HackerRank and try to challenge yourself more often. Like, don't just relax. Don't feel okay because I think I know how to write. So try to learn more things. Like when you have when you have learned a lot of things, it gives you this kind of confidence while solving life coding challenge. You know a lot of scenarios, a lot of tools that you can use because you've solved so many problems. So when you solve very little problem, by the time they give you a particular challenge, you might strike your balance, and you don't want that. You don't want that. And in most cases, you must, when you are prepared enough, it gives you this kind of confidence. When you don't prepare, when you ask some question, it might strike your balance, and before you start to stammer or and once they see that in you, it might give the kind of sense you don't know what you're doing, and you don't want that.
Okay, thank you very much, Tony. That's very insightful. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned HackerRank. So because one of the questions I wanted to ask you are platforms where people can go on and then practice. Okay, so our media team also is going to scroll that, put that on the screen with also some other resources where people can go on and practice before the D-Day. Okay, I think I have two more questions to go, TK, because I know you have lots to do on your decks. The next one I want to ask you is, with your experience so far, because Microsoft is a very great company to have lots of experience. If you want to advise anybody right now, maybe about to come out of school, start applying for jobs, I know there are lots of programming language. What 3 programming languages would you profile or advise them to focus on? Maybe because it is in high demand right now, maybe because it is very versatile, you can use it to do lots of things. Use enthusiastic, just advise, or just give an opinion.
Okay, I'll definitely mention JavaScript, because JavaScript can be used for so many things like mobile development, web development, and I'm not sure about desktop. But
sorry, TK, to cut you short. It's important for you to help us let the audience know the difference. The JavaScript is not Java. They are quite different. So
JavaScript is like one of the let me say high demanding. Like there's a lot of frameworks that are built now on JavaScript, and it gives JavaScript this kind of more demand. A lot of JavaScript developers are a lot of companies that use JavaScript are looking for more JavaScript developers using some of their frameworks like React, Angular, and maybe Vue.js. So I think JavaScript is one of the to-go language I'll say you should learn and maybe start working on, develop the JavaScript skill, build a community, build your knowledge base, start and find some of the things you need to learn about JavaScript like ES6 and likes. I think JavaScript is definitely one of it. And the next I'll mention is Java. And I think one of the reasons why I'll mention Java is that Java is one of the main OOP languages. We have a lot of them, but Java gives kind of experience into the OOP paradigm, and there's a lot of knowledge that can be transferred from Java to some other programming language. So let's say you work with a firm and you plan to work with a firm, and let's say they're using any OOP language. The knowledge of Java would have given you this advantage because you already know how Java works. So Java is one of the languages I think I would advise people to learn. I think one of the high demanding also now is Ruby on Rails.
Yeah.
So is I don't do Ruby on Rails because I'm a Java developer.
Yeah.
So the Ruby on Rails, I think one of the high demanding now, and I think it's important that student also is aware of this and you start learning.
Wow, that's good. It's interesting, TK, because PHP that used to be your number one isn't on the list. But,
yeah,
that's what.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you mentioned PHP is also high demanding, but
yeah.
I selected those languages because if you actually select five, definitely PHP will be part of those five. But currently now, if you're looking at the high demanding and the one that will give you a higher advantage, like I said, JavaScript, and I explained why Java can give you that high advantage because if you're working with a firm like maybe Microsoft that maybe or maybe no doesn't use Java, you use C# or C++, because you have this knowledge of Java already, give you high advantage to go to maybe either C# or some other company use ASP.NET and the like. So the knowledge of Java, will give you that kind of edge to master it because most companies we understand that once you are very good in some of these languages, you can learn. They'll give you the time to learn and pick up because they believe that the knowledge of one is transferable to another. So if you are very good in Java, you are sure that you can easily get some job, some C# job, some C++ job and like because you just need to learn some other little thing that you didn't know before.
Okay.
You are good to go.
Okay.
So PHP is also very high demanding.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies are looking for Laravel developers and likes.
Okay.
But the top three, that's my top three, on my own opinion.
Thank you. That's what industry will do. Industry will shape your choices, let you know what is in high demand. Okay, so that's very interesting. Now, you were once a student, okay? I saw you in the classroom, and now I can see you in the industry. I know this is a global interview for a global space, but I can't ignore, our local situation, so the curriculum with which you went through before you left the institution, and if you want to look at that and then what you met in the industry, how wide is the gap, or do you think the curriculum is meeting its purpose, or do you think there's something that we should amend to the curriculum to suit graduates for the industry?
Okay, one thing I'll say about the curriculum is that some courses are a bit outdated, and I think most Nigerian institutions definitely start with some old programming language like Q Basic and some of these outdated language, and it can also be an issue. Okay. Because for a computer science student or for a computer science or anybody interested in tech, you want to use some of these modern languages. I understand the reason why university use some of these old languages because it's very easy for them to just start with and just get something with. I think I would have preferred to have maybe start with something like basic and maybe in my 100 level days and a single language all through the university would have been preferable. Like imagine my 200 level, 300 level, 400 level, and maybe 500 level, you are doing the same language or maybe just one. The reason is that it will kind of give you a more vast knowledge about that particular language. I notice what I observe is that in most cases, you learn some of the same basics in Key Basic. The following year in maybe C++, you learn the same basic for loop, while loop, and some of these basic in Visual Basic or C++. You still learn the same basic all through, and it's like you still have the same knowledge base about the same, let's say the same, let me say logic. What you're just learning now is syntax, the same thing, but you're learning a new syntax, another program language. I think what would have made sense, maybe in my own opinion, would have been the same language, but in the next year, there should be more kind of advanced course on that same language throughout the year. So maybe two programming languages, not multiple programming languages, but just one, but more in depth into those programming in each year to give this kind of wide. And not everybody's interested in programming language. Learning and becoming a programmer. A lot of people are interested in maybe graphics, and the likes. I think that can also help, because at the end of the day, you find that a lot of graduates just graduate and they can't use some of this like learning in school, in the industry, because there are a lot of differences.
It's not their passion.
Exactly, it's not their passion. So I think maybe in the final year or in the 400 level, there should be this kind of choice, and see if you're going to all these graphics, these are the courses you need. There's a more area of focus. You don't need to maybe go start doing more of maths because you have interest in studying maths. If you want to become a network engineer, there should be a set of courses that will be available for you, do the practicals and the likes. So I think what we have now in systems that everybody do similar thing, like you're a programmer, you still do the maths, you still do everything. And then some of these maths, not all of them, but some of them are not even useful in the industry. So I think some of these things should be identified and say, fine, if you're interested in this and you want to go towards this region, these are the courses you should start doing maybe at the 400 level. Because that will kind of help a lot than just say you're a BTech in computer science and you are not majoring in none.
Wow, thank you very much. Those are valid feedbacks, and I'm sure people are listening and people in the right places will make difference. So lastly, TK, there's always this compulsory 6 months period that we have called SIWES, IT, where students go and look for internship. How best can they use that period? And what has been a difficulty? I think one of the challenges has been looking for placement. So what do you think companies also, what role should the industry play also in making placement available for young people that want to do real internship?
During my internship, I started planning ahead like months before my internship. I started looking for companies that take IT student or student internship with them. I think one of the major challenges is that a lot of companies are not kind of prepared, like they don't have this kind of need that undo or that kind of help mentor some of these students. So in most cases, they will just say, fine, you don't take internship. But for some companies or some organizations already have some of these in place already, they will take you and you just need to like go through maybe some of their checks. Some companies will ask you to take some of these tests, and some will say, no worry, just write your letter and you are good to go. So I think one of the major challenge also in some of these companies is that if not really the company, because most times it depends on you. A lot of IT students just look for the easiest one for them to just enter and they are in. And I think I would not really advise them students to do that. You already know that you begin for your IT in maybe 400 level, depending on your institution. I think it's more preferable that you start planning like a year, start looking out for some of the companies. I think the same thing happened abroad. So you look out for companies that you might be interested in, you start applying. Some of them will ask you to take some of these tests. You pass them and definitely they will bring you in. And I think where students most time miss it out is that when it comes to internship, nobody will actually force you to do anything. Nobody will force you to maybe learn. It depends on you. Your attitude now will determine how much knowledge you begin getting throughout your IT period. I think where most students just miss that is I just want to have this record in my sent to my school that I did this SRS and I did something and they are okay with that. So don't do that. I would advise them not to do that. Make sure you go to a firm that you are sure that this is something that you need to learn, because this will have kind of impact on you. You have kind of impact on you. During my IT, I wanted to have an idea of networking. I know I can learn some of things I need to know in programming on my own. I just want to have this idea of networking, because I understand that that's one of these core major roles to play in programming also. So I did mine at National University at Abuja, at the headquarters. So I learned more about networking there. I was kind of more, intentional about my learning. I know people I should meet and I ask them questions like more often. So I think that's another thing you might need to do as a student, to keep asking questions. And if you're in an environment, maybe there's not much work to do, you have an internet there, you have professionals there, like start learning things on your computer. When you have blockers, you can easily reach out to these people and ask them questions and question about their experience, and take note of some of these things, because you can you can learn a lot of things that they're learning that took them up to like 5 years. You can learn it within that 6 months. Yes, like not fully, but that will give you kind of edge because you already spoke with someone that has vast knowledge about some of these things. So be intentional about where you want to do your CRS, and be intentional about learning. Don't just go there and be watching movie. I've seen a lot of students do that.
Wow.
A lot of students just go to IT and they start watching movie, relax.
That's very interesting.
You don't understand that 6 months can save you a lot of headaches in the future.
True.
Yeah.
True. Thank you very much, CK, for sharing. And what most students don't know is that when you come fresh out of college, there's always this minimum requirement in job vacancy, maybe 1 year or 2 year experience. Yeah. And we always complain, how are we going to get a job if we don't give us a chance to have experience? But what they don't know is that 6 months is a time for experience itself, because what you've gone through during that period, can tell a lot on your resume. Okay. Now, certification. How crucial is that for somebody that wants to become a software engineer? Certifications.
Okay.
Or discuss certification versus portfolio. If I have a strong portfolio and I don't have a certification, would I get an audience with an employer?
Okay. Yes. Yes. And yes and no in some cases. But you definitely have, when you have a good portfolio, you build a lot of maybe advanced application, or you've not really advanced application, you build something that is presentable and you have idea of the entire application very well. You don't really need a certification. Honestly, you don't really need a certification. But certification also help you. For example, someone that wants to apply for as let's say DevOps, for example, and you don't have some certifications, maybe for Google and maybe for it might not. Yeah, you might get in, but it's a lot easier when you have those certifications already. Okay. So certification is not really important, but having it is also an added advantage. But your portfolio is more important, like things you've done, your past experience. Like for a student, me, before I finished my university days, I was already working for some firm, like remotely. So when you already know where you want to, maybe this kind of this is a career path you want to take, you should start working towards. You don't need to wait till you graduate. You just need to look for some of it, even if it's just internship, like a lot of remote internship jobs that you can take them while you're studying. So that we kind of build this kind of experience. So by the time you finish school, it's more easier for you to get a job. You can tell them that you work to software as an intern, and these are the things you build. It becomes a lot easier. And your NYC days can also be an advantage.
Yeah, true.
Because during that period, you have this 1 year to learn something. So here in Nigeria, you get posted to, if you're lucky enough, an IT firm. If you're not lucky enough, maybe a school where you but that doesn't stop you from learning. That doesn't stop you from learning. Your service days can also be where you can work with a remote firm or work with maybe 2 firms if possible, to just gain this knowledge and skill that will help you apply for bigger jobs after your NYC.
Wow, TK, it's been a wonderful time with you. Thanks. These are powerful insights that you've shared with us today. So, and I'm sure the audience also will agree to that. So we're going to be dropping some links. The media team will drop some links on the videos for people if they might want to connect, or some resources for them to learn. And for our viewers, so we would advise you subsequently to get notifications. We have several interviews in the pipeline coming ahead. So just hit the subscribe button or the bell so that you get notifications. Dev, TK, do you have any last word on this platform before we go ahead, for young people that want to go into tech? I'm very particular about young people, because when I see young people doing things with technology positively, I always want to expose, that on the platform, because of what we're seeing very rampant nowadays. So please, do you have any last word for young people?
Okay, my last word will be keep learning, because your skill can take you to places that you can't even imagine. If someone had told me this way I'll be in next, I might not have believed, but I was just so determined that my skill can get me to places I didn't even know as of then. So I'll advise young people to keep learning and don't get distracted. There's a lot of things here in Nigeria, and I know a lot of students, people doing using technology in a negative way. We advise you to keep learning, and you should understand that a lot of things will be done while you're getting employment. There will be a lot of background checks. You don't want anything to be kind of staying on your name. You want to make sure that you learn the right thing and you don't get discouraged. Even if you don't make enough while you're still in school, that doesn't mean after you graduate, you can make way more than that. Just keep learning and don't get discouraged and say, yeah, my friend is doing so this, and just keep learning. And if you have be this kind of person that you're always ready to share knowledge, because even while sharing your knowledge, you tend to learn more, and try to be around people that will also encourage you to become more, and be around a good community that will even support your learning. Like, be around people that also believe in the same goal, the same thing, the same they have the same passion like you. So I think that will help you at the long run, and make sure everything you do, you make sure they are legal, and you don't do anything that will hurt or harm people. You don't build softwares or tools that will hurt or harm people. It's very important. You just keep learning. The sky is the limit.
Amen. Thank you very much, TK. So just keep learning. The sky is your limit. And that's what TechEd Upskill is all about, exposing you to resources that will help you to upgrade your skill. Okay. Thank you, Deb, for coming on the show. So until we meet again in the next series, viewers, keep upgrading your skill. Thank you.
Okay.